Hi there, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name's Luna and I love all things horror, and today I'm going to be talking about Maxxxine, which is the third installment in Tiwest's X trilogy. Just a quick synopsis: it takes place in 1980s Hollywood, where adult film star and aspiring actress Maxxxine Minx finally gets her big break. However, a mysterious killer stalks the starlets of Los Angeles, and a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past. So, this is going to be a spoiler review. I'll get that out of the way really quick. I left the theatre after this movie with a really confused feeling, honestly. The cinematography in this is absolutely beautiful, but that's kind of what we've come to expect from this. It is stylistically different again from both X and Pearl, which I love that about the franchise, that each installment has its own sense of style and look to it, which reflects the era that they're depicting, which is a really nice touch. Music as well was a highlight for me. Just the set building that they did to recreate 1980s Hollywood was beautiful, and I can't fault that whatsoever. The music was by Tyler Bates, cinematography was by Elliot Rocket. This is another strong performance, I'd say, by Mia Goth. However, I feel like she wasn't given enough to work with, especially after following Pearl, because to me Pearl was such a strong movie. I know it's quite conflicting for a lot of people. They much preferred X and weren't really swayed by Pearl. But for me, Pearl is still the strongest installment in this franchise. But this felt a lot more like a love letter to horror movies of the 1980s. There was some giallo vibes in there. At some parts, the gore that we did see was really well done. Some really nice effects works were in there. The kind of overarching plot is following who we find out to be Pearl's dad later on in the movie, stalking her. But because we know this is a sequel to X, and if you've seen X, you just know that that's the way that this movie is going to go. So it felt really odd to me that they played it like it was some sort of mystery, because to me it was obvious from the beginning that that's who this was. So I found that a little bit of an odd choice. I did think that what was missing was some work building up the relationship between Pearl and her dad throughout childhood, and kind of the dynamics there, and the story behind her dad becoming such an influential person as well. I feel like there was just some world building left out there that didn't make it hold as much weight as it could. It's so close is the annoying part, because setting up the satanic panic and stuff like that could have played in really well with it, and it just felt like everything was kind of passing. It didn't feel like there was enough there. It didn't feel like we delved into the plot enough. It just kind of felt like Maxxxine was a vessel for this story arc. It didn't really feel like we got to know her all that well in this movie, in my opinion, which is such a shame, because like I said, Mia Goth's performance is solid as always. It's just she's not got much of a role to actually play, I feel like. And some of the supports as well were strong. I mean, Kevin Bacon it was a joy to see him on screen, and I feel like he had a lot of fun with it. But if you removed his part and just had her dad stalking her, I don't feel like it would be any different. And it just felt like I was waiting for some sort of reveal, because they were being so mysterious about it. I thought maybe I'm wrong and maybe this is going to go a completely different direction, and I was waiting for something to click into place for me, but it just never happened. So it meant that because there was so much build up, by the time we got to the end it felt really anticlimactic. But visually and from the music, the movie is gorgeous. It's really glossy. and I feel like it does capture the era really, really well, and it is like a big love letter to horrors in the past, I feel like, but it's just missing something, it's just missing the mark, and I can't even like think in my head, I can't even pinpoint what would make it hit that mark for me, because this just was like, I knew exactly what was going to happen the second that I sat down, and that's not great. To me, this is the weakest installment in the franchise, and that's not saying that it's badly made, because like I said, aesthetically I do really like this movie, and I want to like it because I really like the ideas of the themes that they're going for in this franchise, but it just feels quite surface level. It doesn't feel like they actually go into depth about them. They're kind of mentioned in passing. Like the adult work side of things is just kind of thrown in there, and like it's mentioned at one point that by the producer of the Purist 2, I think it is that it's called. I'll put it up on screen if I'm wrong. The producer that's hired Maxxxine is kind of like fighting her case to keep her on this movie, but we hear that, but we don't actually see anything, so it's another case of like not actually showing it in practice, the discrimination that she's facing. It's just kind of thrown in to be like, oh, remember she did this. There was some flashbacks to X, which they just kind of felt shoehorned in. I like that we had the opening mirror the openings of X and Pearl with the, you know, the doors opening, but I don't know, it felt like it was just a case of every time we had a reference to the other movies, rather than it tying in quite smoothly and rounding things out well, it was just a case of, oh look, it's that movie that was before this one, rather than it actually, you know, flowing into the plot well. I feel like the stakes aren't high enough, and it felt like, to me, it could have just been a movie on its own, and it didn't have to have those things to tie it in for the movie to work, if that makes sense. Those effects, man, I was really, really excited to see those effects and to see those kills, because they were just, the effects on them, the style, like cinematography, everything about it was fantastic. I really enjoyed them, but I think because Maxxine's kind of so passive in this movie, almost, it feels like they're even shoehorned in, to me anyway, because the way this was built up, and from seeing the other movies, I kind of assumed, and this is maybe like my bad, that Maxxine would kind of go the route of Pearl, where something would snap and she would then become the killer of the story. But I mean, I guess it's good in the sense that we're subverting expectations, but at the same time it means that the movie was pretty like one note all the way through for me. I don't know, I literally, when I came out of like watching it, I went with a friend, and I couldn't even bring up like words to use to describe it, because I didn't know what to think whatsoever. I feel like Mia Goth has like carried this whole franchise on her shoulders, like she's phenomenal, but I think because of that, it's resulted in a lot of the plot kind of falling to the wayside and them just relying on her performances solely, especially in like the opening scene of the movie where she is auditioning for the Purist 2. Again, I'll put that on screen if I've got it wrong. That performance she delivered was like the strongest performance, I feel like, out of the whole movie, which isn't great, I feel like, because it just meant that everything after that kind of flopped. It gave her a chance to like kind of show her acting chops, and that was it. I just feel like I wanted more, and I really wanted to enjoy this trilogy. Like, I really wanted to like it, and especially because of some of the themes that are in there, I feel like it's interesting, and I also feel like some of it mirrors Mia Goth's progression herself, because she started out, I think it was called Nymphomaniac. I'm going to put that on screen as well. So similar sort of vibe, not quite full on adult film star, but I'm curious to see if that's why those themes are in there, because of the movie that she kind of got her start in. So I feel like there was a lot that she could have taken from her own personal experience and added in, but it seems like a lot of it's kind of given in nods. I feel like X was a lot more venturing into that side of things a little bit more, but yeah, overall it just seems like it's a lot more style over substance with Maxxxine, and I don't think I'm gonna watch it again. I might do, just to see if there's something that I've missed, because that's what I felt like the last couple of days after I've watched it. I've just been thinking there must be something that I'm missing here that isn't clicking into place. But it feels like they threw a lot of ideas at the wall for this movie, and then because of that they didn't delve into any one aspect deep enough. So like the Night Stalker thing, I assumed that that would be a red herring and that she would actually be doing a lot of the kills and that would be her sort of cover, because that was happening at the same time. That's one of the ways that I thought it could have went. And then at one point I thought, is this going to be a movie inside a movie? I was like, is this going to be the case that the producer is behind a lot of this and she's putting Maxxxine through these things so that she can have it for her movie? And then with the like satanic panic cult stuff, I thought, is there actually going to be like an absolute plot twist of, oh, she has actually got the devil inside of her and we are actually going to see an exorcism? Because I was just like, there has to be something. And like the private investigators, even they felt completely shoehorned in. They were off screen, and they were the ones that kind of did they took down her dad. She finished him off, but it just takes away a lot of the tension then, because there wasn't a struggle between Maxxxine and her dad. So again, it just made her feel like more of a bystander again. So overall, if I had to rate it, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10, just because the world around Maxxxine is very well built in the sense of visually and with the music, it's built up really well. However, because they skimped out so much on the plot, it's just a well-dressed set and good costume design at that point. And I'm not like belittling the people who did that, because the work that they did was absolutely amazing, but it feels like the plot and the script needed a lot more work, and it's not rounded out the franchise as a whole. It doesn't feel finished to me as a point. So yeah, unfortunately it didn't hit the mark for me. Thank you for watching. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are in the comments below. What's your favourite installment in the franchise? And hopefully I will catch you soon. Be sure to like and subscribe, it really helps me out. And have a nice night. Goodbye.